Hello again. Something which most of us have noticed over the years is that the wheels of justice in this country grind exceedingly slowly. A kidnapping, rape, or murder is committed, a man arrested, and then it takes a year or so to bring the person to trial. By the time the trial takes place, most of us have forgotten the original crime. Another thing which most of us have observed is that sentences, when they are delivered, seem to be very light. Men carrying knives might typically not appear in court for 6 or 9 months, and when they do turn up in the dock, they get a suspended sentence, community service, and so on. Because the kind of young men who wave around knives and machetes tend to have short attention spans and difficulty connecting cause and effect, this means that they are not deterred from carrying edged weapons in their day-to-day lives. Let us conduct one of my well-known thought experiments. Suppose that the government was really serious about combating this kind of casual and sometimes lethal violence, the sort which bedevils parts of our largest cities. Imagine that the police arrested a few of those young men who currently feel able to wave around swords and stab people when they feel like it, and that these young men were brought to court within a few days and immediately sent to prison for 2 or 3 years. Do you think that such a scheme might serve to discourage knife crime? What about, say, I don't know, mugging or indecent assault? I wonder if a crackdown of this kind were arranged, it might make some people think twice about their actions, act perhaps as a deterrent. Some youngsters post images of each other behaving in antisocial or unlawful ways on TikTok. What if the police started arresting people who posted images of each other doing aggressive things like posting clips of film of themselves brandishing zombie knives or singing songs with racist themes or inciting violence? And there's plenty of stuff like that on TikTok, I can assure you. Do you think that might send a message? Might this be worth a try as a way of challenging the hooliganism which we see in our cities? I ask this because, like many people, I have been very surprised just how quickly the police and courts are able to act when the Prime Minister says the word. This didn't happen far worse rioting in 2011, and I have never seen it done before in the last 60 years or so. Does anybody ask themselves why this should be? Has nobody ever become so concerned about knife crime that they think it worth giving this a go? Why has it only now proved possible to undertake such an exercise? There are, I think, two possible explanations for what we have seen in the last week. The first is that every Prime Minister up until Keir Starmer was simply too stupid and ineffectual to come up with this idea of instant justice, and simply didn't realise that he or she could just order the courts to convict people and send them to prison at once. I would be surprised if this was the case, that no Prime Minister, nor any of their many advisers, thought of doing this. The second explanation is that the whole exercise is thoroughly unconstitutional and of dubious legality, and that it is this which has stopped anybody trying it before. Murmurs about this are starting to be raised, and we'll have to see if they amount to anything. In the meantime, do any viewers think that this method will be adopted with any other kind of offence other than those which could possibly be attributed to the far right?